That card indicates it's a group effort. Interesting. So I don't think it's either one or the other. Like it's not just nature and it's not just weather modification. Now we've got the 5. So it's like nature and been enhanced upon. So it's been enhanced upon, nature's been enhanced upon, and we've got the Lovers. Okay, so it looks like it's part of the war. Okay, so the war breaking out in the open, and so it's like likely 3 different components. So nature, white hat, and alliance white hat, and the deep state. Okay, so we've got all 3 battling it out here, and then throw nature in there. So I feel like, yeah, we've got it. So it's exaggerated by the war, sort of them. They're warring against each other using flooding. So maybe flooding the dumbs, and then that's then the deep state retaliating with more flooding various different townships and cities and etc. Yeah, so I feel like they're just sort of duking it out here. And we did see that the war would come more in the public. We've been seeing that actually since probably a few months before Christmas, and then it's been ramping up. Since they used to call New Year's Eve. Yeah, in January. It's been ramping up. Okay, so this is a political card. So we've got all kinds of things going on here, and it's not just one thing, and it's literally chaotic stuff going on. And that's very unfortunate because all of those people are the ones who are losing their homes, lives, and lands, businesses, etc. So that's very unfortunate. We've got the King of Pentacles here and the Knight of Cups. So the King of Pentacles and the Knight. I feel like part of the agenda is to move the elections in a direction, or maybe even cause them, to go a completely different way. And we know that, there's elections coming up in Australia as well. And it feels like a lot of it is to topple. That would be on the bad guys' side, I would think, is to topple what the results were naturally going to be. Somehow the flooding was, I don't know, like preparing, maybe even trying to scare different groups, different political groups. We found out from Ben Fulford, and I don't always think he's right on, but he does get it. Some of the time he's right on, okay? I think Ben Fulford was saying that in Japan, that huge earthquake they had that created the tsunami, okay, that was a retaliation because Japan wouldn't fall in line with some deep state agendas. So it does make sense that deep state retaliates with weather patterns like this that create disasters. So it's partly that, partly white hat cleanup and or fighting against deep state, and also nature in there. So using the natural rhythms of nature and then, exaggerating them. Okay, so wow, that's fascinating, and it must be really, really confusing. So I'm sending everybody ravens in Australia on that one. Did Trump take over Greenland? So according to White Hat Alliance sort of background news, okay, it's all over truther channels that Trump took over Greenland recently, which I think is funny because I think this happened years ago. And he's building underground prisons there for deep state players when they get rounded up. Personally, I think that's backwards. I think that happened a long time ago. We looked into it years ago, Jean-Claude and I, and steadily we've been getting, there's a huge facility under Greenland. So I just wanted you to know what I've been getting, but I will look at the question on face value. So we're going to go, did Trump take over Greenland and create an underground prison, or to create an underground prison? And it should come up there, timing on that. Did it already happen, or is it happening now, or is it even happening? Let's have a look. Mm-hmm. 3. Wow. Okay. This is interesting because this card badly aspects the other two. And the other two, even though the sun often raises the bar on any reading, and it's a positive card, but it could also talk about children, and this can be about adrenochrome, and this can be about something ending for good. Okay, so ending adrenochrome and or creating for good has something to do with what we're asking. So Greenland must also, well, it could also be bringing people to Greenland, to end adrenochrome use for good. So maybe they're putting the really bad adrenochrome pushers, users, makers of adrenochrome, those people, those deep state people, those dark cult people, maybe that's who they're taking there. Okay, and this card indicates, to me, this is a yes, by the way, because we got a major arcana. So yes, it happened, but it already happened. So this was maybe even 2 years ago. He's already using it, and it looks like he's using it for the worst offenders against crimes against children, infants, adrenochrome making, and they might even be literally putting them to death there. So yeah, it's a place they're taking them. A lot of people aren't seeing at tribunals. I've been seeing it steadily for years and years. I've been getting that they've been doing secret tribunals likely since 2017. Like, I think they've been doing this for years. Okay, so that's what I've been getting. That'll be a huge, if that's true, that's going to be huge when that comes out. Can you imagine? Okay, so here we've got the Knight of Wands, which is a good military card, and the 7. So this is, I feel like this is saying the most feared people get taken to Greenland. So it's not that he's doing it, it's he did it some years ago. Okay, and we've got the Queen of Wands. Truth or communities, a lot of us have known that for a long time. So I feel like the truth will be known by everybody eventually, but yeah. And now we've got the Empress and the Hierophant. Okay, so likely royals go there because we know they're really, really bad. As far as I'm concerned, the royals are some of the worst people on the planet. Royals go there, and some of the biggest players in the deep state. So royalty of Khazarian mafia players. So the biggest heavy hitters, ones with the most, evil potential. Yeah, that's who's going there. So yes, it's a really high security prison already underground, under Greenland. Okay, and it's been happening for years already. Okay, what else do we have here? The Myanmar in Burma. I just got to know where in Burma. Okay, I wish I had a map. I wish I had Myanmar cities. Okay, Myanmar penetrates Myanmar cities after quake kills over. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this quake that hit Thailand. The word I was looking for in my mind was Thailand. Okay, and it is in Myanmar cities, whatever. I don't know if that is a particular city. There's an S at the end of this cities, so I don't know what I mean. Maybe Myanmar is an area in Burma, Thailand. Okay, so correct me in the comments. So I'm saying that right. And we're wondering, was that a natural quake? It was one of the biggest quakes they've ever had in history, in known history there. It was a 7 point something, right? So it was huge. It was miles deep. It was, a lot of people are thinking in this community are thinking this was cleaning out dumps. Apparently, that place is absolutely riddled in trafficking and human trafficking. Thailand all around is. Okay, and it even surfaces like people go on holidays in Thailand, pedophiles. They go because it's easy to get their hands on, literally out in the open. They'll shop infants, babies, and children to you, in the sex trade there. So it's just disgusting. But anyway, There's also a lot of beauty in Thailand, obviously, and beautiful people there. But it's rampant with deep state, dark cult activities for sure, or has been for sure. So let's have a look at, was that a natural occurring earthquake that just happened there? Yeah, there's the earthquake there. Certainly it was a big one. It was as big as they're saying. Okay, because this card's the what's true about it kind of thing, and around it. Okay, so we've got the 4 temperance in the middle. I'm inclined to think this might have been natural. 2 major arcanas in a row. One of them's the temperance card. I'm not thinking this was white hat or, deep state, Khazarian mafia. I'm thinking this is a natural occurring thing. So we've got, but they did take advantage of it. So the white hat alliance, so that would be my good military card, did take advantage of it. And it looks like they're doing a lot of things in the background, cleaning up, helping and lending a helping hand. But this doesn't look like it was created by them. And it doesn't look like it was created by the deep state either. Like this is where it came from. So it might have been brewing for a really long time. This feels like it was under pressure for a really long time. I don't see any cards indicating it was created by humans or weather manipulation or even bad aliens, which some people are thinking. So, wow. Okay. Putin's car explosion. Okay, so right after, like I think it was days after, or it could have been hours after, that ridiculous actor named Zelensky, okay, Ukrainian guy who's obviously a part of this theater, okay, that guy's hilarious. Anyway, this was very suspicious, this story. So all of a sudden a car explodes and it's in Putin's, fleet of cars. And apparently people were in the car and all died. Okay. So I want to know, first of all, did people die in that car explosion and who was responsible for it? So we're looking around that. We're going to look all around the explosion and just see what we get. Okay, that looks like theater to me, guys. I'm not buying anybody died. That was a creative, that is theater. That is theater. Yeah, I think they're just helping to, that was a political move in the theater of politics. That was so all of that was part of the rising. I don't know why they're doing that. I haven't been able to get an answer on that. Why are they rising other than they're like they're showing people who their enemy is and how they do things, how these deep state players do things. But they've been rising the tensions in the EU and all over, in Russia, in Germany, in all over Europe, around war. And the fear is that there's going to be a war between Zelensky and, well, sort of what sparks it is, and more ongoing with Ukraine, but now all of Europe gets involved, okay, and against Russia. And none of that makes any sense to me. When you really look at what's been going on, it feels off. It feels really fake to me. Okay, feels fake because we've been getting for a long time that actually Zelensky and Putin are part of the theater and are like actors who actually have been playing this thing out. A lot of what happened in the Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia was theater. Some of it was real, but it was often very different than it was portrayed. Just a whole bunch of things around this just don't sit right. And this looks totally fake. We've got fakery cards, creative cards, the fool, like they fooled you cards. Nobody died in that according to this. I feel like they're trying to rise the tensions in about the whole Third World War, and honestly, I have no idea why they're doing that. I wish the White Hats would stop doing that, but they seem to have a reason why they want to be doing that. Okay, so let's move on from that. RFK Jr. So a whole bunch of crazy stuff's coming out with RFK Jr. around. First of all, quite some time ago now, there was that Olivia Nuzzi, probably a CIA plant, sugar honeypot or whatever they call them, honeypot, was placed in his like close by him politically, let's say. Okay, so placed herself, just close by him, and then started up some kind of connection and got him sexting her dick pics, excuse the term, and all kinds of things. So the rumors are, and that hasn't really exploded on the in like we've been hearing about it, but it hasn't exploded as big as it could. Okay, so nowadays I don't think somebody sexting pictures, and I'm not, like whatever. I don't think somebody doing that in a high position is going to take them out of their high position. I mean, that's just my opinion. Because it wouldn't like make him bad at maybe his job. So RFK Jr., kind of a known womanizer. Don't forget, though, by the way, that this guy had a lot of dark history, and I've always got that they're using his brand. We don't even know if that's really him. Okay, is that a guy wearing a mask? A bodybuilder wearing a mask? Like, we don't know, right? But they're using his brand, and I feel like he's allowing them to because I think he's on the side of good now, RFK Jr. But so what's going on here? So there's so much information. It's all contradicting. We're looking at what Candace Owens, she's starting to think he might be sort of compromised with some Zionist Jewish people, in particular this rabbi who, by the way, this is a riot. Okay, so the rabbi we're looking at, not the guy in the sunglasses, the other guy, has been seen with them, and they've got the Israeli flag in the pictures, and they're all so convenient. We've seen so many pictures. So it's either the deep state trying to get them. So with this guy, and by the way, this guy is known to, he's a dildo salesman. Him and his daughter have some kind of business where they sell dildos, okay? And on top of it, he's a rabbi, okay? And a Zionist, a known Zionist rabbi. Okay, so are you kidding? Like, and we've got so many pictures of RFK Jr. with his arms around this guy and all cozying up to him and his very obviously male to female inverted wife, okay, the rabbi's wife. I think it's his wife, but there's some really bad pictures of them as a couple, like it's horrifying. And actually, when you look at this rabbi, I'm going to tell you, I got to be honest, he looks like he's wearing all facial fake hair and stuff. I'm just not buying that's a real person. Nothing reads intuitively, and I'm intuitive about these things. I'm looking at that guy and I'm going, that guy's not real. He's a made up character. Okay, so I'm thinking, did he get totally honeypotted by this woman, RFK Jr.? Did he get honeypotted by some agent of the deep state? And then also this guy, does he owe this guy? Like, because his past came back to haunt him, because we know that, these Zionists, they got stuff on all the political characters in the US and all over the world. And this is how they get stuff done. So is this the white hats showing us how they do this? Because it's almost cartoon-like, the pictures of RFK Jr. with this guy. Okay, and the fact that he's now he's a dildo salesman. Like, it's almost too funny. And what I found interesting was, I found it interesting that, what was her name again? Candace Owen is taking it too seriously. I thought she's not that easily fooled. Okay, she can't be that easily fooled. I mean, it is problematic that she's got herself turned herself into a Catholic. Like, that's going backwards. So that could be a clue that they eventually out her as a bad player too. Are they outing these guys as bad players? I'm not attached to the idea that RFK Jr. has to be some hero. He might be doing good things now, but he's, obviously he's had a compromised past. People say also Candace Owens also had a compromised past, and the fact that she's openly saying she's become a Catholic. Okay, so we all know Catholicism is a compromised organization. Okay, like seriously, I wouldn't admit I was a Catholic if I was one these days. And nothing personal against if you think you're a good practicing Catholic, that's all great. But all you got to do is look in the history. There's some of the worst humans on the planet are the leaders of Catholicism. Okay. And the Vatican and all of that. And you guys know what I think about that, right? It's literally demonic. Okay, it's not. And I literally knew that from a small child. I just knew. I came in here going, I'm taking those guys down this lifetime. Okay, so you can totally have a connection to Jesus, to God, Mother Mary, to like energies. But Catholicism, they're pedophiles. They're like the heads of that organization are some of the creepiest creeps on the earth plane. That's all there is to it. Okay, so it's unfortunate, but that people are going to have to figure that out. But anyway, so RFK Jr., what we're asking is this going to take him down? Who's behind all of this? It feels really, really like a setup to me. It's either a setup and they're trying to show you what a setup looks like and how the deep state sets people up. Are they educating us in all of the ways these things, they do their takedowns? Like that makes sense, right? Because they're doing it almost in slow motion and they're really explaining it. They're using guys like Ian Carroll. He feels like, he's been planted information and like the guy just came on the scene in 23. And I'm not saying but it's just weird that he's in front of this like he is and has these inside scoops, and he was only been doing this since 23. Come on, something weird going on. And then Candace Owen, just taking sort of a weird slant on it. I find that fascinating. Anyway, and not really seeming to know how deep state works. And, we know how smart she is. And so I know she knows better. I don't know. Just listen to it. Okay, I feel like the whole thing looks like an education in how these guys are compromised, and they're just showing us firsthand. Okay, that's what we're going to ask. Am I right about that? Or am I way off? And this is actually a thing happening. Like too many laughable things in it. Too many laughable things. The dildo salesman part. I mean, that's just taking it a little step too far. Almost like maybe the white hats have a sense of humor, actually. And they've been known to have a sense of humor about some things. Just look at the George Floyd thing when his funeral had a coffin the size of a child and the guy's like 6'10" or something. Give me a break, right? 280 pounds, 6'10", big, huge guy, right? Oh, and by the way, I shared on my Telegram, go on over and check out my Telegram. I shared a video of George Floyd dancing and singing. Oh, brother. Like he's obviously, an actor. Okay, so let's have a look. What do we got here? So we've got the 7 of Cups. That's interesting. That's a fear card. That's a fear porn card. That's a murky. That's like the swamp. That's murky. Everything in here is, this is like a psyop on top of a psyop. So a psyop to maybe uncover a psyop. And this is a slow, patient card. I feel like, and there's a strategy card in the middle. So white hat. So the white hats are showing us. So it's exactly what I said. The white hats are showing us how they do psyops, the other guys, how they did it. Okay. So they put out stories they get honey pots. They send in people into these guys' camps they get them, falling in love with these women, and the women seducing them or whatever. Yeah, they're probably that woman. What's her name there? Olivia Nuzzi is probably MK Altered, or she's an actor playing an MK Altered deep state player. Okay, that's more like it probably. She's probably read in, and this is part of the theater. So they're just explaining in a really slow motion way how they do these things. So this is an education on how they take down, and usually right at a really important part. So he's just about to basically take down big pharma, and of course fluoridation in water, and of course also all of these deep state plans that were making us sick and killing us. Okay, so he's going to take them down. He's taking down all these players, so they attack them with this. This is the white hats attacking him with it. It's all fake. Okay, so this is theater of an attack and what it would look like. So if any of this was real, this would be what it looked like. And they're doing it in slow motion, and then they're throwing in some laughable things. So if you're just borderline waking up, you might it might push you over the edge, and you go, okay, this got to be fake. The dildo salesman part's just a step too far. This has to be fake. Okay, like that. That's what they're doing. Surrender. They're surrendering to even really thick, slow people that are sort of just on the edge of waking up, might wake up with the dildo salesman info. You know what I mean? Like that. That's what they're doing here, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay, is that what we got? Yeah, that looks like, oh no, we got one more. Okay, so we've got this one. This story broke recently. Like, I think I just saw it today, so it could have just broke today even. So what is her name again? Can we find her name? Roberts. Somebody Roberts. Oh, Virginia Roberts. So Virginia Roberts is one of the biggest, she called out Epstein really early days, and Ghislaine Maxwell, however you say her name, right? And don't correct me, you guys, in the comments. You're wasting your time. I'm always going to say them wrong. And maybe I'm undoing the spell casting of words. So I think that the universe made me like this on purpose. So just so you know, that's how I think about it. So don't waste your comments telling me how to say words right. Okay. Like all my longtime viewers know that I'm not going to try to say it right on the account of maybe my higher self knows to undo the spells of these disgusting people. But anyway, so Ghislaine, whatever her name is, Maxwell, was really outed by this Virginia Roberts. Also, of course, Epstein, and a lot of what goes on in Epstein Island, and all the workings of these scumbags. Okay, and she gets in a car accident where she's in really tough shape. That could have killed her. A school bus hit her, apparently. So this just happened. I mean, according to what I was reading there, it just happened. So we're going to ask if any of that's true. Is that also, are they also trying to bring your attention to back over to the Epstein files back over? It's like they really like ramping certain things up just before other things are about to happen. So let's see if this is just real. Like, is that true? Did she naturally just a bus hit her and it wasn't the deep state trying to kill her off? Or is that all made up and that's part of the theater? Let's have a look. So we've got the 6. Well, that doesn't look hit by a bus to me. Okay. I think they're wanting to bring attention back over here. So this looks like an attention getter to move everybody's attention somewhere. Okay, something that's been long hidden is going to come out. And I feel like somehow this gets everybody looking over in certain directions again, revisiting certain things. So this is theater as far as I'm concerned, and part of the politics, the theater of the political theater. I've been calling it political theater that's been going on. Somehow them setting her up with this story or putting out this story. She's agreed to it. As far as I'm concerned, she's been working with the White Hats for a long time. So yeah, Virginia Roberts, I'm not believing that happened to her, but I think they're doing it to get everybody looking back over here, because things are going to, who knows, maybe we'll actually even get some of those files released. Okay. The real stuff, the real goods. Okay. Who knows what's going to happen, but it feels like it's a setup to move us in a direction. Because this really is the reveal times, and Cliff High's been calling it that, the big reveal stuff. It's been happening, and I feel like this is part of sort of getting everybody ready, ramping it up again. Okay, so that was a story put out. Doesn't look real to me. You know, they're horrifying. And this woman, we're going to find out, did she start out bad? Did she join the bad guys? Because somehow that's suspicious that she might have been put into these kind of into the society where you could be that wealthy and that so like getting those big movie contracts and everything. You got to be in the club. They're not just letting anybody. So it's, some part of me feels, maybe, I guess we'll figure it out. I've not looked at the cards on it.
Right.
If I have, it was years ago and I don't even remember what I said, but we're going to look at it today.
Yeah, exactly. And I just brought up a quick picture here. That was fascinating when 2017, you're saying, Janine, when Trump went and did that tour and he visited the Queen and then he visited the Pope, right? Also, like he went, all these different people. And it's so strange. I know a lot of you guys have seen that footage, but if you haven't seen that footage of when he went and visited all them and didn't follow the official protocols and none of it made any sense based off their rules and protocols, something funny was definitely going on there for sure.
Yeah. The look on the Pope's face is priceless. So they probably fed him the riot act, and that was probably the last time we saw that real Pope. Okay, and we know these popes are big child trafficker, pedophiles. Like, look at the history of popes. Like, look at, where did they even get? So popes were they wielded the most power, even more power than kings and queens back in the day. So in when did they all of a sudden switch over to being spiritual leaders? Like, it was all propaganda that they were even spiritual people. They weren't. They were power hungry. And if you look at where they live, what they dress like, they wear the red shoes. They're all in the Red Shoe Club. So they're wearing, look up the red shoes, you guys, the Red Shoe Club. Right. So shoes made out of infant skin dyed red, because they sacrificed babies and infants to get to their power position. Okay, that Pope's been seen with the black eyes, so he's the Black Eye Club too. He's probably a reptilian living in him, you know. And of course, we haven't seen the real Pope for years. Like, right. That is like, we've seen these weird versions of, and also a lot of AI they use in those public addresses. Apparently, a lot of times it turns out it's AI. You're not even seeing them. It's like it's just projected. It's not even a person. Yeah, and we know they can do that. Okay, so we haven't seen the real Pope for, you know, and I just can't wait till they actually die him in real life time, because I'm just getting bored of watching the whole silliness play itself out. But of course, it's a calm. They're going to let him go in the public eye right at the same time as something else. Like, it's all going to be a big signal.
Yeah, definitely. And Jayism says, that's an I'm in trouble face. The Pope, yeah, definitely. It's a huge I'm in trouble face, definitely. So just to go back to this tweet just for a moment. So Emma said what she said, that first part of the tweet we read. And then she says, I want this is Hermione, you guys, Hermione from Harry Potter. I want my trans followers to know that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are. Okay. And let's just take a little peek here at some of the tweets. And you guys, if you go to J.K. Rowling's X, it's hard for me to call Twitter X now and not Twitter, every day, multiple posts about transgenderism, her not agreeing with wokeness. We need to speak out. We need to be mindful of this. So this is one from June 6, 2020. J.K. Rowling said, people who menstruate, I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wooman, Wimpound, Woo Mud, right? So she's a writer and an author, and she can be, funny with her words there. And it's just constant. This one's from October 17, 2023. Repeat after us, trans women are women. She says no, right? And it goes on and on. Lots and lots of tweets from her. So you guys can go check out her X page, see everything she's posting. So Janine, can we start off by looking at what is her real background? J.K. Rowling. We're told that she was a single mom and she was on the dole, right? And she had no money. And then she started writing Harry Potter. And then she becomes a frickin' billionaire. Okay, is this the real background? What is the real background? And is there maybe anything around her family too that we can look at?
So we'll start maybe by saying this. So the story you just told, in short, is any of that true? Is there truth to her origin story? Because everyone's heard it, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there truth to that? Or is it all made up? Or is all of it true? Let's have a look. Mm-hmm. Or is some of it true?
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll move on to what is true then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she is independent and there is truth to the story. Here we go. Yeah. So she's an independent thinker. So it looks like it looks like some of the stuff she's writing is, so she's got the rebel gene. Okay. She's got the rebel gene and her origin story looks true. She comes from humble beginnings, medium class. Like that, I think that's medium. You know what's middle class in the UK, whatever that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. 10 and oh my goodness, I wonder if she's a rarity that actually through talent actually made her way into the the billionaires club, but fluke and talent.
Wow.
Maybe they didn't realize how many people would glom onto those books. Okay, I'm inclined to say she's telling, or that story's true about her. I mean, maybe not every single word of that documentary, but it's definitely got a lot of truth. She's an independent thinker. She thinks sovereign independence. This community might like her. We've got the 10 of cups. So she's not, she really doesn't like illusion, delusion. You know what? So people spin it that maybe she's trying to groom kids. Okay. But think about this. When I first read the Harry Potter, I celebrated it. I read it to my kids and it was very exciting. And my daughter loved it so much. And I brought her to all the movies and everything. Mm-hmm. And maybe she was letting people to know that there's muggles equals normies.
Right.
And then magical thinking people, because that's how I saw it at the time. I saw it as, oh my goodness, she's actually, the magical thinkers are like me and my daughter and my tribe. You know what I mean? She's talking about a group of people that think beyond the BS. Yeah. Maybe that was what she was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's the bad guys that try to defame her, saying that maybe or maybe it's just people that aren't thinking all the way through or don't have cards to know. No, actually, she started out as an independent thinker and she came from a middle class background, maybe a little on hard times. I mean, I came from middle class and then I also became a single mom and even received some welfare for about a year. Mm-hmm. When my daughter was born. So that would have been in the early 90s, like I was on hard times, but I learned to not stay there. That's for sure. I magically worked my way out of that with intention, visualization, and not becoming a victim of it, Yeah. But anyway, so we can all be in those hard times, and lots of people have experienced hard times and then come up from it. Okay, so this looks to me like her origin story has a lot of truth to it.
Wow. Fascinating. Can we also look at, Janine, was her lucky break natural or not. So her origin story seems to be true. Her actually entering this hugely, like probably I might be wrong, but the most successful author potentially of all time, was that natural or manufactured?
Wow. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's quite the system I got going on here. Okay, so what do we got here? It looks like it. Okay, this is going to sound really interesting. Like this is fun to do this. I'm so excited to do this. Yeah. So natural, but she was using positive magic. So in other words, intention and visualization.
Wow.
So she beat the system of the dark cult being in charge of everything and who's at the top by using her own personal magic and intention. Okay. And I feel like that is absolutely possible. And I think all of us are going to learn. I think a lot of people, we're going to learn to flip things right out of those. It's not only the cult people anymore that can have abundance. All of us can.
Yeah.
It can be available to everybody. It has a lot to do with our thinking, our intention, our vision, our trust in the universe, and the way we love ourselves and work forward. Don't victimize ourselves. There's a lot of spiritual work that goes along with it. There's work, but it's more spiritual. She used her spiritual intention and just really pure hard work. And, we've all read the books. I mean, it's good writing. It's for what it is. I mean, the age group it is. Yeah. And what they maybe didn't know is just how famous she would get. I feel like she naturally acquired her fame and might have. I also get they might have come after her after she was at a certain level, trying to get her to join the club.
Right.
So she might have been presented an offer, but this card's indicating she stayed independent. So maybe our next question should be, what did that look like? Does she know about the club? Was she did she ever end up at a party that, was trying to, because, what they do, of course, if you do gain a lot of interest by the public, they try to get you at one of their parties and get you compromised. Right. Okay. If you end up just naturally becoming known, of course, they're going to try to pull you into their little web before you go any further. So let's see if she was offered and what that looked like. If she was, what kind of brushes did she have with the dark cult?
Yeah, sounds
good.
We're
talking about the Khazarian mafia. We're talking about the ones that sacrifice babies and children, the ones that get you to Epstein Island for a party and get you compromised, even if they have to drug you to do it, because some people don't comply to their gross offerings of infants and underage children to, do horrible things to. Of course, they film it all. And that's how you get these people over a barrel. But the other thing is they could, if you're not cooperative, they'll drug you and then get the photos as if you're involved anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So there's it's hard to avoid being involved, and people that have avoided it, usually they get blackballed in the industries they're in, like where nobody will touch their work. Like that happened to, who's that actor that happened? Mel Gibson. Right. He spoke out against them. He saw up close and personal what they do. And he tried telling people, these guys eat babies. These guys are vampires, and then he got, smeared and turned into a demonic Like everyone was like, they totally threw all of their shade on him as if he was the one who was dysfunctional and disgusting, when in fact, of course, it was the people he was outing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds good to look at. Okay, then, her journey continues. Did she see anything dark? Is she aware of the dark? Was she offered a deal?
Okay.
It's nice that there's someone that's not sold themselves out for once that we're looking at.
Yeah, she was on to the whole normie thing with that muggles thing, now that you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
It really makes sense, right? Non-magical thinking. So they just stick to what's right in front of their face, and they don't really look past that.
Exactly.
So here we're asking, did she get any brushes with the baddies?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's a real old soul. She had the wisdom to avoid them at all costs. So she said no to all the parties. She did not go to the things the ones she thought maybe were going to entrap her. She worked, she put her head in her work a lot.
Wow.
And now we've got the 4 really old. So I think she had protection, some kind of spiritual protection. She might have even been protected by what I call the alliance, or like some group of other dimensional beings that maybe they wanted to, push her forward because they knew she'd be needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like those books were actually meant to help program us in a good way, not a bad way.
Mm.
That there's this whole other world that we don't know about, and you can just go through, certain, like energetically, you can move into entire different worlds, and they exist and coexist. Like she opened up a lot of parts of our imagination to start thinking outside the box, really.
Mm-hmm.
And see that Page of Wands here, and the 4. I feel like she was very aware of and was able to avoid, and used her higher guidance to avoid these parties that could have got her into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the Ace, so the Sun and the Ace of Swords. The Sun and the Ace of Swords. The Sun is really positive and real positive thinking card.
Mm.
And then so she's really good at putting her intentions forward. She looks like she does daily intentions.
Wow.
And has a lot of intent, mental process that keeps her in the light and out of the dark.
Interesting. Wow. And Jerry, the new Phi here, says, just look at her face. She looks positive. And I was thinking about that earlier when we brought up her picture. I'm like, okay, some of these people that we look at in the Psychic Spy show, you just look at their face and you're like, there's something going on with that. But with her, she's got, I don't know, something positive energy radiating off of her. So good point, Jerry, the new Phi. And I think it's interesting too, Janine, that, in England, and my dad was born in England and I have British ancestry. Of course, there are dark things with paganism and some of the ancient spiritual practices, but there's also beautiful light things about natural Celtic spirituality. And I really noticed with my cousins and some of my family members that they really opened up to the natural spirituality through the Harry Potter books over the process of the last 20 years or so. Yeah. So it's done a lot of good, I think, for the world, for also England too, and British people connecting back to their own, spiritual lineage of their spiritual practices, which is fascinating. Okay, cool. Can we look at Janine? Why is she so vocal, JK so vocal in particular around transgenderism? I mean, there's a lot of different issues going on in the world, a lot of things that we speak out about. Is this personal for her? Does this have something to do with her background or something on the soul level? Or why is it this particular topic, speaking out against the wokeness in regards to transgenderism? Why is she doing this? Where does this come from?
Good question. All of us people that are vocal about these beliefs in these times, we kind of got our areas. Like I stay away from talking about mRNA vaxes, and of course I do talk about that, touch on that, because everyone, of course, that was our big awakening, was when these were pushed on us in the fake pandemic but health is not my forte, even psychically, spiritually. So I'm not really that's not what I always want to sit around talking about. I definitely jump on the news because I know the news is fake. I'm really into Q. I'm really into, I really want to take down Catholicism because it was ruled by this Vatican Pope stuff, and not good Christians. I'm not talking about that. If you want to be a good Christian, that's your business. But belonging to a club like Catholicism, like literally is, it's like demonic people's just looking, but all organized religion, never mind. So all of us have our like areas that we're more focused on. Do you know what I mean? So it makes sense that she's got a big focus. I can see, like, it's almost like our mission. I feel like it's my mission, organized religion and organized, the new, what they call medicine nowadays, pharmaceutical stuff. I'm totally against that. And politics and politicians, but like hers is, the thing she's super focused on. I know mine comes from past life, for sure. The thing about Catholicism, I was burned at the stake, and all my bones were broken in one of my lifetimes. By, when Catholicism was becoming popular, by the orders of some pope of the day or whatever. I have a memory about that. Yeah. So there's things, things that you bring with you, right? Past life. Right. Let's see if that's what's going on with her. As soon as it first started becoming a thing. Yeah, she was red hot against it. So we've got the Hanged Man. This is this is putting yourself in a difficult position to enlighten. So she chose to be an enlightener, right? So she wanted to enlighten people, because a lot of people, they get fooled. They think they're being inclusive. Okay, so they don't realize that it's actually a government agenda to take away your identity, not to actually let you have the one you choose. It's not about that. They couldn't give, like, as if the government could give a shit about how you feel about yourself. Come on. Okay, they're all a bunch of deep state / Khazarian mafia / even go up higher, Dracos, like, who knows, like, who's at the top of that head of that snake? We don't know exactly, but Elohim, like, we don't know, right? But they definitely don't give about your self-esteem. So it's not about that. And she saw through that. She saw the agenda that it was, and put herself in the difficult position of hacking away at that right in early days around it, right? She knew she'd be unpopular because everyone wants to be popular. So they all jump on the bandwagon. They think they're being liberal minded, when in fact they're like completely just getting used. They used all the kind-hearted people that wanted to be inclusive, and they fooled them all that this was somehow something they needed to jump on, right? When in fact, it's actually being okay with and not helping people heal and learning to love themselves for exactly whatever it is they came here with, right? It doesn't mean you can't express your sexuality how you want to with, of course, I'm going to add with consenting adults. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's where it's okay, right? But otherwise, no, we don't need to all like get that all. Why do we need to all talk about that? Like, why do it? Like, it so baffles me. If they really just a person really loved themselves and identified in their own way that way, they wouldn't need to make a big scene about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. Enough of that. Yeah, it feels like she just put herself in that difficult position. It was absolutely something. She maybe even came here with that mission, because that card can be like a mission, because that's a hot, burning, like intense. Who knows? Maybe she's got some Scorpio in her chart to be that intense about something, right? Yeah, and like I said, we've got a bit of an older soul.
Mm.
Yeah. I wonder if she's even like in the truther community, or at least listens in on it and likes it or whatever. I wonder if she's even like got involved in the white hats on the skirt and edge of it here. Because, yeah, this feels like we've got maybe alliance, some white hat. Like maybe they've noticed her and because, and give her the nod, or she's even conferred with them, because if you think about it, she is doing the work of a digital soldier and a truther out there. Like she's really telling hard truths that people don't want to hear about.
Right. For sure. Yeah, it does seem like she's so passionate about it that it's coming from some sort of place of, purposeful. And that's funny because it shows up in her chart.
Yeah.
We'll look at that in a moment. Did you want to say anything else with that spread, Janine?
Well, we'll just pull two more just to see what we get here, overviewing her, where she's coming from there. Okay, so she knows it'll be a long haul, but she surrenders to she's a long haul thinker. So it looks like she looks at the world and goes, I want to leave it a better place. So she surrenders to, she's got to do this now, put this out there as much as she can. And somebody had said it there in the comments. She knows they're after the young minds. So she's looking at the future and children. And if you think about it, she wrote her books for a young audience.
Exactly.
And she's like concerns herself because she's an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
She came here, concerns herself with, leaving the world better than she found it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I am relieved with how we are seeing this in the cards, Janine, for J.K. Rowling. And it makes sense with her chart too, because I was looking at it before we went live. I told you, I said, I'm not seeing anything too crazy in her chart that would be, kind of showing that she's really one of those bad guys, really in a bad place. J.K. Rowling is a Leo with her moon in Virgo and an Aquarius rising. So makes sense. The rising is very much how we kind of show up to the world, how people can see us, gifts and talents that we have to share. And Aquarius is the activist and the humanitarian, right? So, she is a philanthropist, I think having to do with charities of women, abuse of women, because she was said to be in domestic violence in one of her long-term relationships. But she's doing that every day on X, her Aquarius speaking out on, here's what I think, this is bullshit, being the Aquarius rebel against the wokeness totally, and does naturally have a positive energy as a Leo. But interesting that her Leo sun is at 8 degrees, which is a Scorpio degree. And actually, Nicola Stojanovic, the late great astrologer, said 8 degrees is the black magic degree. So people that either have done black magic themselves, or maybe they've experienced the dark arts or black magic in some kind of intense way. So it's interesting that with Harry Potter, she does talk about, black magic a lot in the books, but as many of you guys have been saying in the comments, her work is very much, it shows how the light can overpower the black magic and the darkness, right? She's got her North Node in Gemini, which is classic for someone who's a writer or an author or a public speaker, very Gemini in nature. And that North Node is in square to Pluto and is in square to Uranus. So to speak out in ways that can be uncomfortable or where you're going against the grain, or, Uranus and Pluto are very much like, those are the ruler of Aquarius and Scorpio. Those can be the two signs that they're like the rebel signs that, just say what maybe other people are more afraid to say. And, oh, J.K. Rowling, you're crazy, you're transphobic, right? But if someone doesn't say it first, then no one will say it, right? Because not everybody is a Leo with their Aquarius rising, kind of has that natural confidence to speak out like that. So makes sense, her writing abilities. Also, I find, and let me know what you think, Janine, I find that Geminis are really underrated for their psychic ability. Like, because, they're ruled by Mercury and it's information and yes, common sense. I find Geminis, like Ashala is a Gemini, they're really highly psychic. Like the information just kind of streams through them if they just let themselves talk or automatic write. They definitely, do you know? Yep. Yeah. So I think she, with that North Node in Gemini in her fourth house, she is highly intuitive. Maybe she is really into the woo, like many of us are. So her birth chart is very interesting. And in her current transits, JK is going through her second Saturn return, which was actually exact this past year, where a lot of the times when we have that Saturn return transit, it can be challenging. So I'm sure it hasn't been easy for J.K. Rowling to speak out against the wokeness in the way that she's being. She's had many of the cast members of Harry Potter speak out against her, many of her, colleagues and peers in her sphere, making fun of her, calling her names. So not been easy, but that Saturn return, it makes us step into new levels of responsibility that we maybe haven't done before. So she's definitely doing a good job in her Saturn return. And I want to ask you something, Janine, in a moment with the cards, because because her moon is at Virgo, 24 degrees, we're going to be having actually during the Beyond Mystic Conference, an eclipse on March 14th at 23 degrees of Virgo. So that eclipse on March 14th is going to be almost exactly conjunct her natal moon, one of the most important placements in astrology, which does have a lot to do with the health of a woman. If you are a woman, our emotional well-being, our family, sometimes the moon can also show work as well. So that's kind of showing astrologically, this will be a very big, actually, next 6 months for J.K. Rowling. Do you want to look at the cards? Like, what's coming up for J.K. Rowling? Is she just going to continue to speak out? Is there going to be anything kind of interesting that's not on our radar coming up with her?
Well, she actually might have a healing crisis right about the time you're talking about. I feel like she could actually have to take a step back. We might see it in her, unless somebody else is now controlling her X account, just with all of the kind of information she gives them permission to do. I mean, she could be so busy, she could have somebody she trusts doing that. I mean, she is a billionaire after all, so she might be putting her energy somewhere else. Okay, but this looks, so we might still, what I meant by that was we might still see her active, but I feel like she'll step away a little and have a personal healing something she has to really, like some big, maybe even past life fear rears its ugly head, and it's like a crisis, but it'll, once she gets through it, it'll absolutely propel her forward. So I feel like she's sort of in for a tough year, but she comes out of it really well and really goes forward, and could even get a lot more public after that again, right? Where she's not just chatting on X, but actually out there in the public even more, which of course we know Leo's like. And also you said she was a moon in Aquarius, didn't you?
Aquarius rising.
Oh, rising. Okay. So her sun and her rising are in opposition. It's very dynamic anyway, when you got those kind of opposition. And yeah, she is dynamic. I mean, and her writing is definitely dynamic.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, that's interesting. Always interesting when the Tower card comes up, which is also isn't that our collective card for the year that you pulled for us?
Yeah, it's a big, crazy change here where anything that's not built on a firm foundation's coming down. And that could include your own like psyche, right? This could be internal, like internally. And a lot of people have been experiencing that since the lockdowns first started, and we realized our whole system was against us. If we noticed, what was going on, we went, wait a second, right? This is total BS, right? We're getting totally lied to. A lot of people woke up at that, and that could happen internally. And for her, this feels really personal. And one of her own personal fears could really shake her world and get her to deal with it. But I feel like it makes her stronger on the outcome. So it could just could just mean she needs to take a little time off and spiritually work on herself.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And before we finish up, Janine, we've got a cool question from the audience. Bryony J says, can you ask a question about the main cast being trans or LGBT, etc.? So are any of the cast members, like the main cast members of the Harry Potter series, possibly actually trans themselves? From what I know, you guys, none of them are publicly trans, but were any of them actually trans? And that might have been in J.K. Rowling's sphere too, as to her personal journey of speaking out on this so much.
Well, I mean, maybe that they are like from childhood, like a lot of Hollywood people,
right?
Like they're like actually a lot of starlets. Okay, so up and coming stars, both men and women, are created, and cloned underground, apparently. And if you look, so there's all these people that look into it, where there's one star, little starlet, and then there's 5 or 6 other ones, lesser, but they're all doing famous things that all look similar, like they look cloned from that one star, and they both got both boys and girls, or men and women from it, right? So they literally have 4 or 5, and I can't think offhand of names, but do a little research, you guys, on cloned stars and underground cloning centers, and there's all kinds of crazy ideas out there that could be happening. And now we know everything we were told was a lie anyway. So could totally be like, and they transgender kids from birth, right? That if you're from one of the bloodline families, that's one way of sacrificing, instead of literally sacrificing one of your children to, stay in the club or be elevated in the club. Like, and I'm talking about the dark cult club. I'm talking about the Illuminati. I'm talking about what these people do, these bloodline families. You need to transgender one of your kids. So that's in a way sacrificing them, because you sacrificed what they naturally came here to do. So they naturally came here to live out a life. That's what people choose. That's why I'm totally not okay with that agendas pushing it on kids, because they come here, you came here, and you have to learn to work with what you have. You could have been other sexes in past life. You could have been a man or a woman, and maybe you feel uncomfortable, but all the more reason to learn to work with what do you got. It's spiritual work to be here, right? It's not okay to just just not do the work, right? It's like loving yourself, right? Like completely changing your sex is not dealing with what you came here to do. Okay, and I'm not talking about what you end up being, who you end up being lovers with. Like I said, if consenting adults, that's not my business, and I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less what two adult people do together, as long as they're working on their stuff and loving themselves.
Yeah.
Right? My opinion. Okay. You know what I mean? But like, work on your stuff. Like you don't just, oh, we'll just lop that off, change that, make a vagina, and like take off your penis. That's absurd. Okay. That's like hacking into a perfectly good human body. It's against your soul's choice that you came here to do this work.
Yeah.
You came here to work on it. I'm not talking about little adjustments. Like, I'm not talking about that. Like, whatever, that happens and we do that. I'm talking about when you literally change your whole, and then now you're on pharmaceuticals for the rest of your life, for your body to accept that you just decided it wasn't what it was. Okay, so talk about not being inclusive. Now you're actually against your own self, and everybody's encouraging you to. So to me, it's like you actually are absolutely against. Now you're working against your own soul's choice.
Right.
And now that's absolutely demonic, if there ever was. Okay, so they're literally, and they create a patient. So now a bunch of doctors get paid, and they're bad at what they do, apparently. Just look on J.K. Rowling's, she has a lot of information about that, how they hack you up. Okay, and these people are almost never happy with it. You can never have an orgasm. You got this fake vagina. You're not going to, sorry, I'm just being blunt, but I'm a blunt person, actually. You probably figured that out about me. But guess what? You're not going to have an orgasm. Like, none of that's okay with your soul. Okay, so encouraging people to do that and being okay with it is foolishness on our part, and we're not doing our spiritual work, and I'm not okay with it. So I'm with her, man. I'd like to meet J.K. Rowling after this reading about her.
Yeah, for sure. So
cool. What was I asking again?
Yeah, the question was, Millicent says, exactly, yes. The question was from in our audience, Briange says, can you ask a question about the main cast being trans?
And the fact that they're all speaking out against her, so they all signed up to the club. Okay, so they're all just members of the club, not thinking for themselves. They just do whatever they're told to do. Right. That's why all of the Hollywood fools speak out against Trump, and they all speak out. You know what I mean? They're all super woke. And why are they like that? Why are they all like that? Okay, because they signed up to the club.
Yeah.
That's part of their membership, is they gotta say foolish things like that.
Right.
So there's a yes on the in the middle, but this is how people would see it. And I feel like at least a couple of them might have been at birth with that.
Okay.
3 of Pentacles. So we might have had 3 in throughout the series, but maybe as children. So maybe they're not out with it. And that's another thing. So like, not being out about it, but then speaking out about transgenderism. That's really interesting to me. What favor are you doing trans people if you're one, but you're hidden? And you know what I mean? It's like all of the presidents and prime ministers' wives. Have a little gander at the royal families over the years, prime ministers' wives over the years, and presidents from all over the world. They're almost all inverted.
Yeah.
Check it out. Lacron's wife there. Yep, you know what I mean? And of course, Big Mike and all. Like, it's unbelievable. Like Barbara Bush, you know.
Mhm.
It's almost hilarious that her name's Barbara Bush. But anyway, yeah, it's like, it's fascinating to me. So they got these big agendas, but then actually don't actually admit what they've been up to, right?
Mm.
So they're all, their secrecy is their, you know, their big, you know, the big lie about them is, you know, they're not open about anything. It's all in secret.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks like some of them were, but maybe from childhood.
Yeah.
And here we've got the, and I feel like this is saying that this J.K. Rowling, she knew that, but I mean, she wouldn't have had a choice who's going to be the actors, you know.
Yeah.
And she maybe wouldn't have said no to that anyway, but she does seem to know about that, especially in like, I feel like she was aware of it, especially in royals. But it would be actually really hard to not see it in royals. I mean, they're the most obvious.
For sure.
You know, especially like 1930s, go back to 1930s and 20s and look at some of those like early picture, or even the 1800s, 1900, when photography first came in. Take a look at, because they were expecting you not to see these royals very often, right up close and personal. So they weren't doing such a great job of transitioning them. You know what I mean? They weren't, like, they didn't maybe have all the drugs, pharmaceuticals they have now to get them not to be producing, you know, whatever it, like whatever's created to, like they have now all these blockers that, so you don't grow the facial hair if you're a male, but you're trying to look like a female, stuff like that, right? So they didn't have all of that. So they were like, and they also weren't doing the maybe plastic surgery to the degree they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were basically just dressing them like that sex, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. That's what it looks like anyway. Like go have a look, deep dive on this, people. It's outrageous. But anyway, she looks like she kind of knew anyway. And afterwards, a lot of the stress that was created by what she was saying, I feel like she actually did that almost on purpose, just to out the whole agenda, even in a bigger way. But she knew. But I mean, she wouldn't have been the one choosing who's going to be playing those parts. It's out of her hands once she signs her work over to these.
Her work away. Yeah, interesting. Thank you for that, Janine, and thank you, Brian, for your question. We are at the hour mark of today's show, you guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. And
vô cùng quang minh lỗi lạc, cả đời cố độc hành chuyên quyền độc đoán, tung hoành thiên hạ. Nhưng hắn lại có một chỗ tốt lớn nhất, tất cả những gì hắn giành được đều vô cùng thỏa đáng, tuyệt đối không có chút gì mập mờ bất minh. Chỉ riêng điểm này thôi cũng đủ khiến khắp cả Trung Tam Thiên, kể cả đám địch nhân của hắn cũng phải khen hắn là hảo hán tử. Một đời kiếm tông bị kim ngân của thế tục bước đến thê thảm như thế mà vẫn không hề đi trộm hay đi cướp. Tuy Sở Dương đối với loại người đầu gỗ này có chút kinh bỉ, đồng thời bác bỏ cách hành xử như thế, nhưng cũng không thể không bội phục sự kiên trì của tên này. Ố, độc hành phải không? Sở Dương mỉm cười, bày ra một bộ dạng thâm trầm khó hiểu. Hắn dùng ngón tay chỉ vào mấy thanh binh khí dài ngắn đang treo trên bức vách nói, ngươi thử xem, mấy thanh đao kiếm này của ta so với của ngươi thì thế nào? Nói xong Sở Dương liền vươn người đứng dậy, lấy xuống một thanh kiếm cùng với vài thanh loan đao trên vách, đặt trước mặt Cố Độc Hành. Cố Độc Hành kinh ngạc, trên mặt lộ ra vẻ khinh thường, liếc xéo hắn và thốt lên, mấy thanh vũ khí của ngươi nhìn từ bên ngoài đều là mới, chưa hề qua sử dụng, rõ ràng là vừa mới được rèn. Màu sắc của vỏ kiếm sáng bóng, mặc dù bề mặt có vài thiết văn lượn lờ nhưng vừa nhìn cũng biết là làm từ cương thiết bình thường mà thôi. Giá trả bao tiền, tên này đúng là rất thẳng thắn, loại binh khí này cũng chỉ là hàng thường, dùng giết gà thì coi như tạm được, nhiều nhất là đem ra dùng để lừa đảo mấy thằng đần mà thôi. Cố Độc Hành nói xong liền thò tay cầm lên thanh trường kiếm. Thật không hổ danh là kiếm tông, hắn không hề biết đến mấy thanh đao trên bàn một cái. Kiếm vừa vào tay, Cố Độc Hành liền ồ lên một tiếng kinh ngạc. Vẻ khinh thường trên khuôn mặt liền biến mất, thay vào đó là vẻ kinh nghi vô cùng. Chuôi kiếm này có chút không đúng. Cố Độc Hành thầm thốt lên, trong lòng không khỏi chấn kinh. Chuôi kiếm này còn có phần nặng hơn so với kiếm của hắn. Sở Dương cười ha ha, sau đó liền đứng dậy và đi thẳng vào phòng trong. Tiểu tử này chắc cũng đã đói bụng, hay là kiếm chút gì cho hắn bỏ bụng cái đã. Đối với mấy thanh binh khí của mình ở chỗ Cố Độc Hành, Sở Dương đúng là vô cùng yên tâm. Cái thằng cha này một chút nữa là đã chết đói, nhưng thà đem cầm bảo kiếm của mình chứ không hề đi trộm. Nếu như không tin hắn thì tin ai đây? Nếu như có người nói Đệ Ngũ Khinh Nhu lấy trộm kiếm của mình rồi bỏ trốn thì Sở Dương còn có thể tin. Nhưng nói thằng cha Cố Độc Hành này trộm kiếm của mình rồi bỏ trốn thì không phải là chuyện hài hước quá sao? Một lúc sau hắn bưng mâm cơm ra thì thấy Cố Độc Hành ngồi bên cạnh cái bàn, hai mắt đang trợn tròn tạo thành một bộ dáng khiếp sợ vô cùng. Tên này đói bụng sắp ngất đi rồi, nhưng chẳng thèm để ý mâm cơm mà Sở Dương mang ra, chỉ đăm đăm xem thanh kiếm trong tay, miệng thì thào, sao có thể được, chuyện này sao có thể được, không được tôi qua máu người, kiếm làm sao có thể sắc như thế, có chuyện gì không thể chứ. Sở Dương một tay cầm lấy một thanh sắt thô to, tay còn lại cầm lấy thanh kiếm trong tay của Cố Độc Hành, sau đó bắt đầu gọt cây sắt như gọt vỏ táo. Một tiếng vụt nhỏ xíu vang lên, cây sắt liền bị gọt đi một miếng. Với con mắt sáng suốt của Cố Độc Hành thì hắn có thể nhìn thấy Sở Dương hoàn toàn không hề vận công, chỉ hoàn toàn dựa vào độ bén của thanh kiếm mà thôi. Vụt, lại thêm một miếng, vụt, vụt, vút, thanh sắt thô to như cánh tay liền bị gọt đi quá nửa. Trên mặt đất rơi đầy một đống sắt mỏng như vụn bào, đèn bóng sáng lóa. Cố Độc Hành cảm giác như mình sắp đi gặp ông bà rồi. Hắn cùng gia tộc vì mâu thuẫn mà náo loạn, thêm một vài nguyên nhân khác nên mới trốn đi ra ngoài, nhưng do vội vàng lại quên mang theo bạc. Trên đường đi, đồ vật trên người hắn chắc toàn bộ gửi ở tiệm cầm đồ hết rồi. Hơn nữa hắn là một gã đàn ông, nào có mang theo trang sức như phụ nữ đâu. Tư trang cũng chỉ là một miếng ngọc bội cùng mấy viên ám khí bằng kim châu mà thôi. Nhưng rồi chúng cũng lần lượt đội nón vào tiệm cầm đồ cả. Mà điều càng khiến cho Cố Độc Hành căm phẫn mấy tên đó hơn là ngọc bội cùng kim châu của hắn khi đi vào tiệm cầm đồ liền biến thành ngọc bội rẻ rách cùng với kim châu rẻ rách. Mấy thứ này cũng có rẻ rách sao? Cho nên Cố Độc Hành dù đã đói bụng 2 ngày nay nhưng hắn kiên quyết không đến tiệm cầm đồ nữa. Thanh hắc long của hắn quý báu ra sao chứ, nhưng nếu bị mấy tên chó chết ấy gọi là kiếm rẻ rách lần nữa thì hắn sợ là mình không kiềm được mà đâm chết bọn nó mất. Trên đường hắn tình cờ nghe được truyền thuyết dọa người về thiên binh các, cho nên hắn mới mò đến nơi đây. Khi hắn đọc được 3 chữ thiên binh các trên bảng hiệu, đột nhiên hắn cảm giác thật thoải mái. Thiên binh các, thanh hắc long của mình không phải là một thanh thiên binh hay sao? Ngoại trừ 2 chữ thiên binh ra, thật là không còn 2 chữ nào có thể xứng với hắc long của ta à. Dù câu thần binh lợi khí để hình dung nó cũng không thể. Hắc long của ta là có linh tính đấy. Vì vậy, khi Độc Cô Hành đi đến đây là hắn đã hạ quyết tâm. Chỉ cần đối phương chịu cầm thì chính mình nhất định phải gom góp kim ngân trong thời gian ngắn nhất đem hắc long trụ lại. Đương nhiên còn có một điều kiện tiên quyết là tên lão bản của thiên binh các này phải quý trọng hắc long thì hắn mới yên tâm được. Có ai ngờ, hắn chỉ tùy tiện tới thôi mà cũng thấy được bảo kiếm chém sắt như chém bùn trong truyền thuyết. Đến khi nhéo mạch tóc đùi, Cố Độc Hành mới xác định được mình không phải đang nằm mơ. Một khắc sau đó, Cố Độc Hành đột nhiên phẫn nộ như điên. Ngươi sao dám đem bảo kiếm bán cho mấy tên tục vật như thế hả? Cố Độc Hành nhảy dựng lên, hai mắt trợn lên như chuông đồng, trừng mắt nhìn Sở Dương hung dữ quát. Trong bụng hắn từng tiếng ọt ọt vang lên mỗi lúc một to nhưng cũng không thể cản nổi cái mồm đang nổ trận lôi đình gào thét kia. Ta không hiểu. Sở Dương chớp mắt hỏi. Ngươi đây là không tôn trọng, ngươi là vợ phạm, là vũ nhục đối với thanh thần kiếm này. Cố Độc Hành nổi điên gào lên. Mắt thấy vẻ mặt đối phương còn chưa biết hối hận là gì, hắn nhịn không được liền muốn lên tăng sông máu. Thần kiếm như thế, trừ phi là tuyệt thế kiếm khách, còn mấy tên lôm côm khác thì không thể có được, không xứng có. Không phải có câu bảo kiếm tặng anh hùng, bảo ngọc phối gia nhân sao, cái thứ phàm phu tục tử sao có thể xứng cầm những thần binh lợi lý như thế này được. Thiên binh hoàn toàn xứng đáng, ta không cho phép. Cố Độc Hành nhảy dựng lên, ánh mắt long sòng sọc và hét lớn quyết không cho phép. Sở Dương cả người ngẩn ra, hắn nhìn gã thanh niên bụng đang đánh trống ầm ĩ và sắp chết đói đến nơi đang làm ra bộ dáng kích động đến vỡ tim kia. Hắn rõ ràng là không cho mình đem đồ của mình đi bán. Bà mẹ nó, đây không phải là quá bất hợp lý rồi sao? Ách, này anh bạn thân ơi, cửa hàng này hình như là của ta thì phải. Sở Dương giờ khóc giờ cười nói. Cố Độc Hành lập tức ngẩn người một lát, rồi lại bá đạo hét, cái gì mà của ngươi hay của ta, của ngươi cũng không được. Sở Dương đúng là bó tay. Thằng cha này chẳng trách luyện công tiến cảnh nhanh như thế, chắc là mê kiếm đến cuồng rồi. Đúng hơn là mê nặng đến độ tẩu hỏa nhập ma con mẹ nó rồi. Si mê cũng không đến độ này à. Cái này là bảo kiếm hiếm có trong thiên hạ đó. Trong mắt Cố Độc Hành và thậm chí cả toàn thân đều tỏa ra khí thế cuồng nhiệt. Thốt, đây là một thanh bảo kiếm hoàn mỹ a, đây là lợi khí sát nhân a. Kiếm này mà nếu đâm vào tim người, nếu là chém vào sọ, nếu là, thì cái nào sảng khoái hơn nhỉ? Nghĩ đi nghĩ lại thì cái nào cũng là sướng tê người đi a. Nói xong hắn liền nhắm mắt lại, vươn ngón tay giống như đang cầm kiếm, trong miệng lẩm bẩm, rơi vào trạng thái vong ngã. Sát, đây mới là kiếm, đây mới là thiên đường của kiếm. Sở Dương nghẹn họng nhìn kẻ điên này chân chối, trong đầu trực tiếp xếp hắn vào hàng ngũ bệnh tâm thần. Trên đời này còn có thứ người điên như thế sao? Xoảng, Cố Độc Hành như phát bệnh động kinh, đưa tay rút thanh đao trên bàn ra rồi nhìn chăm chú vào ánh đao lập lòe. Bệnh động kinh của vị huynh đài này càng thêm lợi hại, tay chân trực tiếp co rút, mồm thì hét tướng, thanh đao này cũng là bảo đao hiếm thấy a. Rồi hắn như phát rồ mà nhảy đến bức vách, tiếp tục rút xuống thanh đoản kiếm và đoản đao đang treo trên vách. Đây quả lực là mộng tưởng của vũ giả khác trong thiên hạ a. Cố Độc Hành ngốc trệ thốt, sau đó bi phẫn nhìn Sở Dương hét lên, Ngươi muốn đem những thanh đao kiếm như vậy bán đi, ngươi muốn bán đi mộng tưởng của võ giả khắp thiên hạ ư? Hắn trừng mắt, bước từng bước tới trước mặt Sở Dương, cơ bắp trên mặt co rút dữ dội, hai con mắt đang lồi ra như mắt ếch bỗng nhiên híp lại thành một đường nhỏ hẹp trên